You know what that means. Time to pay your taxes. That is, unless my next guest has his way. He wants to eliminate the IRS completely. Presidential candidate Ron Paul joins me from Capitol Hill. Congressman, good to have you. Eliminate the IRS?
Thank you. Pardon me?
Eliminate the IRS?
Well, that's a good idea, and I think most Americans would agree with it. They get a little bit worried that they won't get enough of their government largesse if you didn't have the IRS. But, you know, the taxpayer gets hit twice. First, the government comes and they take their money from them and they get hurt. But I think people get hurt when the government spends the money because all they do is regulate and distort and cause malinvestment, all these problems. So we lose twice. The American people would do quite well without an income tax. We lived a long time without an income tax. They're sick and tired of filling out these forms. The method they collect the taxes is unconstitutional. We're guilty until proven innocent, and we have to keep records and testify against ourselves. Totally un-American, unconstitutional. It's time to get rid of it.
All right. Now, the likelihood is that that's not likely. But you have been championing this cause and arguing against the way we collect taxes in this country. If we got rid of it, Congressman, how would we pay for things in this country?
Well, you could look and see how we paid for our government before 1913. You know, that's a good many years that we didn't have an IRS. And even if we didn't have the income tax right now, we'd have the same amount of revenue from these other sources, gasoline taxes and user fees and import taxes. We'd have as much as we had 10 years ago. And that's plenty of money. Our problem isn't the taxation. That's the symptom of a government out of control, spending overseas and spending domestically, consuming wealth in this country. At the same time, we're producing less wealth all the time, and that's why people are hurting. We resort to taxes and borrowing and inflation, and believe me, the people are indeed hurting, and to raise taxes, which some propose, is going to be very, very detrimental. But not to raise taxes and just print the money is every bit as disturbing to the economy. So the big problem is big government. You have to shrink the size of government. Government shouldn't be in the business of running the economy. The people should run the economy. The consumers and the business people should run the economy, not the government. The government's incapable of running the economy.
You know, that's a very good point, Congressman. But let me ask you, if you don't mind, sir, while I have you, John McCain, your party's prospective nominee, had a proposal, speaking of taxes, to have a tax holiday, if you will, on the federal gas tax, about 18 cents a gallon throughout the summer. What do you make of that?
Well, it sounds pretty good, but I think he probably looked at one of my pieces of legislation that I have introduced quite a while ago, and that is to get rid of all federal taxes on gasoline. But his only goes halfway. It's a temporary thing. Then at the end of a few months, then it's a tax increase. So now it's a great idea, and I'm sure I know where he got the idea, but he needs to get the other half together. We don't need the federal government, taxing gasoline under these conditions, and I'm all for it.
Well, you know, there are a lot of cover stories in magazines, as you know, and of course we've been saying this for quite a while on our show, and actually you've been championing this cause for years, Congressman, that the era of big government is returning, and virtually all the candidates have varying proposals that will at least augment the size of government. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's foolish, but I think also that's the reason why, although we didn't come in on top of the polls in the election, we had millions of people paying attention, and we still have a lot of people paying attention because they know that they don't want bigger government and they don't trust bigger government. And it's a contest between those who believe that the government will take care of them from cradle to grave versus the young people now who are listening to what I'm saying, and they're saying, all you're getting is debt. You're not going to get any of your Social Security. You don't need the income taxing. You don't need Social Security. You need self-reliance, but you need a system where you can work hard and keep what you earn. But if you get to keep what you earn, you'll have a greater incentive. There will be more wealth in the country, less poverty.
You're not kidding, Congress. I was with a group of young Republicans the other night, and they were all saying, if I thought that this guy, they were referring to you very respectfully, had a chance, of course I would have voted for him. And that was your conundrum, wasn't it? You know, that they liked you, but they just didn't think you had a chance.
Yeah, and you know, if we could have looked at, the major networks and others, if they would have not, marginalized me either in the debates or on the evening news, either ignore me, people, if they don't see that, that's sort of the stand.
They treated you like a quack is what they did, which was a huge disservice. But let me ask you, a lot of your loyal contributors, fans, internet groupies, whatever you want to call them, to a man and woman, they keep saying, run as a third-party candidate.
Right.
What would you do?
Well, I have been turning that invitation down. I have no plans to do that. And we have a lot of energy left in the campaign, a lot of people working in the Republican Party trying to get positions and influence the platform and becoming delegates and alternates. So that's where I'm working right now, and that's going to go on for a couple of months. And we still have money in the bank. We have a lot of enthusiasm. We were just at Penn State, had over 1,500 people there. And I was up at a small college in Baltimore last night, Goucher College, and we had 1,000 people there. So I would say that if the response is that favorable, I should continue to do what I'm doing.
All right, but does no plans mean no, Congressman, real quickly, for a third-party run?
About as close as you can get.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have any plans to do that. I mean, it's pretty late, and you know the system is biased against. If you think it was biased against me because I was a strict constitutionalist within the Republican Party, you can imagine what it's like when you're in the third party. We don't have a real democratic process here.
You're right. It's
yeah,
very
it
tough.
sure is.
Congressman, very good seeing you again. Thank you.